Thanks for joining us for Storm Watch. Meteorologist Mark Mancuso. We are keeping a close eye on some snow moving out into the plains, making for slick travel. Give you an update on that. But first, let's see what's happening with the remnants of Mitch. And with the complete update in the tropics, here's Mr. John Hope.
Thank you, Mark, and good morning, everyone. Well, we still have the remnants of Mitch out here, and we're a little interested in what we see down here just west of the Yucatan Peninsula. We can clearly see that we do have a low-level circulation there. Indications are that that's going to develop a little bit in the next 48 hours and move over here in the general direction somewhere of South Florida, say, by 48 or 60 hours. So that is something to watch. Now, as far as it developing into an intense storm, that doesn't seem very likely right now, but we're not sure that it might not be a tropical depression or even possibly a tropical storm. As you can see here, the center of rotation is very close to the Yucatan Peninsula, and we believe it's going to move off toward the east-northeast, and that will take it over some portion of the northern Yucatan Peninsula, and that will at least retard any possible development, say, for another 24 hours or so. But after that, it'll have a kind of a clear shot in towards South Florida. So we do have to watch this, but we don't want you to be overly concerned about it. We know how much damage that Mitch has done already in Central America, and especially in Nicaragua, Honduras, and El Salvador are the worst hit. And we're still getting information out of there about the scope of the tragedy in those areas. But it will not get up anywhere near to that intensity. However, all tropical systems can have the capability of having a lot of moisture with it, so we could look for some pretty good rains if indeed it does come in the general direction of South Florida, which we really think it will. Not too clear where the circulation is here, but if you look very carefully, you can see this counterclockwise rotation. Not moving very much at the moment, but we think with time it'll tend to move a little bit faster. And the conditions in the upper atmosphere, we're going to have pretty strong westerly winds. That will create a little bit of a shear, and we think that will stop it from developing into a very intense system anyway. Looking at the water vapor, we can sort of get an idea, I think, of what the steering pattern is going to be. Right in there is our disturbance, and move off in this general direction toward the east-northeast. And we're going to be keeping you posted on that as time goes by. So that's the tropics for this time. Now let's go back to Mark Mancuso right here in the USA. Mark?
And you know, John, they say imitation is the best form of flattery, so let's just keep it right here with the water vapor loop and show you that westerly flow across the southern United States, moving all that rain to the southeast Atlantic coast. Meanwhile, to the north, we're looking at a blocked up pattern here as the weather features are just kind of stuck across the northern United States. Best supply of moisture has been swept to the southeast coast, and this is where we see the greatest chance for some heavier thunderstorms today, say from Charleston down to about the Cedar Key in Florida. And with the better supply of moisture, this is where we expect to see some of the most significant rains. Yes, snow. And latest report out of the Black Hills area and down into the Nebraska Panhandle, we're getting a lot of reports of slick, slushy highways. So if you're traveling in the Sydney area, the Alliance area up towards Rapid City and Belle Fourche, be prepared for some slippery roadways. Looking at the surface map, large high pressure continues to come down across the Great Lakes. I want to show you a visible satellite picture here because I took a peek at this and I said, wow, what a neat picture. And take a look at this. We have clear skies, cloudy skies, and clear skies. And what we have is the air, it's very chilly, coming down across Lake Ontario. And on the downwind side, look what happens. We generate clouds. Same airflow comes down across Lake Erie, and on the downwind side, we get the clouds in Cleveland. Same thing's happening here. Come across Lake Huron, get those clouds in lower Michigan, and then look at Lake Michigan on the eastern shore around Grand Rapids there, nice and sunny, and then the flow comes across the lake. So you can really see the wind flow going around low pressure in the Maritimes and around the high through the Midwest. Pretty neat picture. So let's go back to the maps for you. Here it comes, that cool air, and temperatures are descending just about everywhere east of the Rockies this morning. And as we check out those current temperatures, you can see it's a winter-like morning with 30s from Buffalo to Denver. And adding insult to injury, the wind driving those wind chills down into the teens from Nebraska into Minnesota.
Floodwaters recede in the plains while rain soaks areas from the Midwest to the southeast. Details plus when and where Mitch could affect your weather ahead on Weather Center.
If you're ready for your own home and money is tight, you're probably asking yourself questions like, what kind of home can we get without a huge down payment? How about top quality homes like these? Or you're wondering, what kind of home can we afford on our income? Say $35,000 or $40,000 a year. What if you can have one like these? And if your credit isn't absolutely perfect, you might worry, what kind of home can we get if our bank turns us down? What if you could have one of these? Or what kind of home can we get when we can't afford mortgage payments higher than our present rent? For many people, it's been homes like these. Now you...
During the Storm Watch, we'll be telling you about some snow here in the lower 48, and we'll do that in just a couple of minutes. But first, it's time for your tropical update, and it looks like Mitch has made a comeback. For all the details on that, we go to Dr. Steve Lyons.
Well, thank you, Jill. Welcome to the Tropical Update, and Mitch has made a comeback. It is now a tropical storm once again. Here are the latest coordinates on it. 19.4 north, 91.3 west, about 55 miles west-southwest of Campeche, Mexico. Winds are 45 miles per hour. The position, location, and the intensity are based on the aircraft reconnaissance flying out there. They're Air Force Reserve hurricane hunters, moving to the east-northeast at 6 miles per hour. Now, keep in mind, this is nowhere near the circulation it was when it ransacked Honduras and Nicaragua. And it's going to be moving fairly quickly to the northeast, and I'll show you that in just a second as soon as we show you the tropical storm warnings. Currently, we have tropical storm warnings up from Progreso, Mexico, down to Carmen, Mexico. In association with that east-northeast movement, it's going to be on the coast in a fairly short amount of time, probably within the next 6 hours or so. At that time, we expect it to be downgraded to a tropical depression. It's right now 45 miles per hour. It'll go down to maybe 35 miles per hour as it moves across the northern Yucatan Peninsula and heads on up toward the South Florida area. Now let me show you the satellite imagery here. You can see the circulation center here is somewhere down in here. A large portion of the thunderstorm activity and rain are up to the northeast, and right now it appears that this is really going to be primarily a rain event for South Florida. However, there is one other concern, and I'll show you in just a second what that is. But you can see most of the shower activity is at the front and ahead of our tropical storm, and that will continue over the next 24 to 36 hours. Now, when we look at the infrared satellite imagery in color here, here's Florida up here, South Florida on the corner here. You can see a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity. This type of scenario is very, very reminiscent of what oftentimes happens with severe weather outbreaks in South Florida. When we get a late season tropical cyclone, the winds are out of the south ahead of the system and out of the west-southwest aloft. That's a typical severe weather pattern. So what we're looking at here is probably within the next 36 to 48 hours or so, the circulation will move somewhere in the vicinity of the Keys or South Florida. It'll be moving fairly quickly, on the order of 15 to 20 knots, so it won't be a long, prolonged event. It should not be a huge rain producer, although that should probably be the main effect, would be rain on the order of 4, maybe to 7 inches locally, which isn't horrible for South Florida. But the thing to keep in mind, in association with that rain, we could have some severe weather. We'll tell you how that unfolds as we get closer to the time frame here. We'll keep in mind on that as it moves up toward the northeast. And right now, keep in mind, only tropical depression is forecast in the vicinity of Florida. So that's good news there. Do not panic by any means, but pay attention to the Weather Channel for the latest on that. On the larger scale, we can see that most of the rest of the tropics are relatively quiet. Some fairly good thunderstorm activity here in the tropical Atlantic, but straight line thunderstorms, same in the Pacific, and we don't expect any development in either area immediately. So we're in pretty good shape there. And of course, keep in mind, we're way down here. We only have about 4% or less of the hurricane season left, and typically this time of year, there's storms, not major hurricanes. Well, let's get back to Jill now and weather in the Northeast.
All right, thanks, Steve. And we do have some rain and snow to tell you about back at home. We already have some of that rain coming into Florida, and it's really scattered showers up the East Coast on Election Day. So if you're trying to get out there and do a little voting, that can be a nuisance. We'll keep checking the radars and keep you up to date here. Then back in the plains, we have white on the map. Look at this. These are the wind chills, not the actual temperatures, but the wind chills are in the teens in some places. And of course, that's going to mean cold rain or some places snow. Springfield to Champaign in Illinois, it's cold rain here, but Rapid City to Valentine, Nebraska, it is snow. And we think that we're going to end up maybe with close to a half foot of snow before all is said and done on this one. And that's from Rapid City down to about Valentine, maybe in some of the mountain areas in Wyoming. And down to Colorado, we'll get a little bit of lighter snow. Denver, actually, rain and snow mix today has been reported, and we should see snow through this evening. This Storm Watch has been sponsored by Honda. Stick around. Coming up on Weather Center, we'll talk about your forecast for the next few days.
A blustery day in much of the Northeast and Midwest, while other areas of the country are seeing some rain. A look at the weather that affects you is just ahead on Weather Center.
This program was brought to you by Honda and Honda Snowblowers, products that work.
Sometimes people depend on you to be somewhere, even in the toughest winter conditions. That's why you can rely on a Honda snowblower. With features like Honda's legendary Easy Start overhead valve engine, user-friendly controls, and track drive for sure gripping traction without chains. So when others depend on you to be there, you can depend on a Honda to get you on your way.
Mary, we got another notice today that our Medicare supplement premiums are going up again.
Oh, that's a big increase. What are we going to do?
Have you recently experienced a dramatic increase in your Medicare supplement premium?
Well, here we are on November the 3rd, and we have a rather fairly rare occurrence. Not something that happens every year, that's for sure. And that is a tropical storm in the Atlantic in November. With more on that and the rest of the tropics, let's turn it over to our tropical expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. Well, thanks, Jeff, and welcome to the Tropical Update. And he is right. It is rather rare to have tropical cyclones this time of year. But we can go back in the more recent history and find at least 3 tropical storms that affected the United States that were named anyway. We had Tropical Storm Gordon back in '84 that came up here through the Fort Myers area, greater Fort Myers area. Then we had Tropical Storm Keith back in 1988 that affected the greater Tampa area. Then we also had Tropical Storm Juan that affected the Florida Panhandle up here, and that was about 1985 or so. So we had those 3 that were all November tropical storms. Well, now we've got Tropical Storm Mitch. It's nowhere near the intensity that Mitch was when it devastated the Honduras and Nicaragua area, and it's not going to do anything like that as it moves toward the general direction toward the Florida coast. But as of 9 p.m., we can see it here. Overland. It's over the northern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. Winds are down to minimal tropical storm force. It's possible it will weaken to tropical depression later tonight if that trend continues overland. Moving to the east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. Pressure is 997 millibars. Currently, we still have tropical storm warnings up from Progreso, Mexico, down to Carmen, Mexico for the tropical storm conditions. I've been looking at the observations all evening, and I really have not seen any sustained tropical storm force winds over the Yucatan Peninsula. The strongest winds, believe it or not, over the Cancun-Cozumel area, and they're out of the southeast at about 20 knots. So that's not to say they're not going to get tropical storm force winds, but if they do, it'll be rather limited in the aerial extent of those tropical storm force winds. Now, as we look at the satellite imagery tonight, we see the circulation center sitting right up over in here. We've had a repeated area of very strong thunderstorm activity that we can see very nicely on our colorized infrared imagery, this big blow-up of very deep thunderstorms. And that big rain mass, some of the rain, of course, already affecting the Florida area up in here, will continue to push off to the northeast. Florida weather is going to generally deteriorate over the next several days. And we can see in the large picture, we don't see any other weather in the tropical Atlantic basin to worry about. But the real effect we're going to have here over the South Florida Peninsula is rain and more rain, primarily on Thursday, but increasing through Thursday. And there is some potential for severe weather associated with this system as it moves up. We'll keep you updated on that as we go through time. Now let's get back to Jeff.
All right, Steve, and let's go right to the current weather map across the lower 48. And, well, what is much more typical to see on the weather map, not the tropical storm that Dr. Steve was just talking about, Mitch, but that is to say snow. We start to see more and more of that as we head on through November, and we are going to get some accumulating snow from parts of central Nebraska up through western North and South Dakota and on up into Big Sky Country and even back into Wyoming. Not a real heavy snow, but enough that it might slicken up a few roadways. A little bit of snow flying maybe up off Lake Michigan, but the lakes are still fairly warm, and as the cold air rushes across them, it will pick up a fair amount of moisture, but the air temperature, hard to get it below freezing when the lakes are that warm, at least close to the lakes anyway. So a lot of rain and maybe snow showers mixed together. For all the precipitation we're looking at on our national radar mosaic, some of this isn't reaching the ground. Case in point, a lot of what you're looking at here in the mid-Atlantic. Some scattered showers, nothing too terribly heavy. Most of the rain into Florida right now, not directly associated yet with Mitch, is very light, and there's our snow in the Midwest. Most of the precipitation here in the Ohio Valley pretty much falling apart now. There's some of the light snow between Rapid City and Pierre and down toward the Valentine vicinity, also near North Platte and well northwest of Lincoln. Traveling on I-80 could be a little bit of an adventure tonight, but most of the snow there should be on the light side. We'll keep you updated on the snow and the latest on Mitch. That's all coming up after your local weather.
After causing death and destruction in Central America, Mitch won't go away. Find out where Mitch is and where it's headed, plus your morning forecast just ahead on Weather Center.
Going to Kansas City, here I come.
The blues makes you feel alive.
I don't want much.
Presenting Living the Blues.
I just want a little bit. Rock me, baby. Rock me all night long.
I said, get blues classics for just $12.99.
Something's got a hold on me here. Oh, I think you know the nighttime is the right time.
You know you shook me, baby. Then audition other Living the Blues albums. Call now.
To order Living the Blues, call 1-800-437-3113.
Reporting it's